Hey there everyone, it's Ed here from Bunch of Swines again. Today we're going to have a look at how we're going to cook the St. Louis style Swift premium pork ribs. We're going to be cooking these today on our Big Popper Smokers drum. We're going to show you how we're going to cook these hot and fast. We're probably going to cook these in something like 2.5 hours. They're going to be beautiful tender and they're going to taste delicious. So let's get on with getting the ribs out, and yeah, we'll start trimming these down. So I mean, I've got this rack out already. I can see, I've got nice marbling running through the meat, this intramuscular fat. Yeah, we're going to trim these down. We're not going to trim them too much though. These come pretty well trimmed straight out the packet. So I'm just going to take this bit off as well. And that's both of our racks. Yeah, we're going to cook 2 racks of ribs today. Yeah, that's them taken out the packet. So, now I've got my ribs out of the packaging. I want to basically trim off some of these edges. If I'm looking over here, I've got this big bit of fat here. That's not gonna render out. That's not gonna be nice. It's gonna stop me getting my rub into the meat. So I'm gonna trim that bit off. I'll do the same on the other one as well. And all I'm doing, I'm just raising the ribs up with my hand just to get under this silver skin. Like that. And on here I am going to take the end bone off. Basically, the end bone is mainly full up of fat anyway. There's not much meat there, so it just makes it look a bit more presentable, and just gets a lot of that trimming work done for me already. So I'm just trying to get all these bits of fat off. We're going to be cooking these hot and fast. We're going to be cooking them straight over the coals. So I want to get this fat off because the fat will have a tendency to catch and burn a little bit. So I just want to try and stop as much of that sizzling as I can. And then I'm just going to take this end bone off as well because it's a bit flappy, just so I've got them nicely squared up, just like that. And I'm just looking around the ribs. I'm just seeing if I've got any bits of hard fat on them. Any bits of surface fat like this, so I'll just run my knife closely against it just to take that off. Again, it's just going to stop my rub from sticking, so I just want to take that off a bit. But these are just going to be good eating backyard ribs, so I'm not going to worry about that too much like I would on a competition side. So again, I'm just going to take this end bone off. And then work this bit of fat off and the silver skin that's around it. A little bit of silver skin there to take off. And again, I'm just going to take this last bone off just to square it on the edge. I'm just looking for any flappy bits. I mean, I'm just going to look around here. It looks like the flap on the back's pretty well trimmed, so I'm not going to worry about that. This one is not so well trimmed, so I'm just going to take this off. It doesn't cook up nice, and it won't eat very well, so I'll just pull that off. But there we go. I mean, that's it really. That's really quick trim of these ribs just to get them so my ribs, my rub is going to stick nicely. I'm not going to catch the edges too much, and you know, we're going to look at how we're going to cook these. So the next thing we've got to do is we have got to take the silver skin off the back. So we'll get a bit closer so you can see exactly how we do that.
So now Ed's trimmed these ribs down, you can actually now take off the membrane, which is a shiny surface here. You're seeing the corner here that there's a slight little flap bit here from where Ed's chopped that rib off. You get a bit of kitchen roll, and right on that flap, you can actually start to peel it away, like so. So put pressure on the bone, hold on to the kitchen roll, which has got this sinew as well, and slowly pull off, hopefully, in one. So now you can see the difference. That's with the skin off, and that's with the silver skin on.
So now that we've got our silver skin taken off, we're going to put a bit of a dry rub on our ribs, obviously add some seasoning. We're going to use a bit of a Loot and Booty everything rub today. And basically I'm going to, you know, even though there's not really any meat on the back of the ribs, I have cooked them with no rub on the back. They look really weird, so I just don't like it. So I'm just going to give them a very light coating on the back of the ribs, just like that. And again on the other rack as well. You know, all of that is just mainly for colour. So, you know, you're going to see we're going to rub it a lot heavier on the other side, but that's just to give it some colour on the back, you know, just so they look nice and look normal. So, yeah, you see we've got our ribs here. So again, yeah, adding the rub, I'm just going to go, you know, pretty heavy. You know, give them quite a decent coating all over. Like that. Same again on the other rack. Like that. Make sure that, yeah, it's nice even coating. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to leave these alone. I'm not going to touch them. You know, I don't like patting ribs down. I like just to leave them, let the salts and the sugars do what they're going to do with the rub. Do what they're going to do with the meat. And yeah, we'll come back and look at these probably in about 45 minutes to an hour. They're going to sit like this. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get our Big Popper Smokers drum smoker up to temperature. And get ready to start cooking these. So now our Big Popper Smokers drum is up to temperature. You know, it's burning clean. We haven't got any smoke coming, so you know, I'm happy now to put the meat on. It's running a little hot at the minute, but we're going to put a heat deflector in. That's going to bring the temperature down. Same with the cold meat. I'm just going to use a single chunk of hickory in here for the, you know, to add some smoke flavour to it. I'm just going to place that straight onto the fire basket, onto the hot part, and I'm going to put my heat deflector in like that. So now I've got my heat deflector in, I can put my cooking rack on as well. I like to use a heat deflector on the Big Popper Smokers drum or Bristol drum smoker because, you know, the fire does tend to get quite hot in the middle, so you know, it helps sort of disperse the heat of it. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to stick our racks of ribs in. You know, I'm just going to give them a squidge, you know, push them in as I place them onto the cooking rack. And then that's it. We're just going to leave these on. We're probably going to check them back in about half an hour, 40 minutes, just to see how they're colouring up, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So the ribs have gone on now for roughly around about 45 minutes. What I want to do now, you know, you can see we're starting to firm up. You know, what I want to do now is, you know, I'm literally just going to pick these up from the end. Yeah, and I'm just going to flip them over. Okay, So the idea being here, you can see I've got a really nice colour build up on the back of these already. So, definitely caught them at the right time. We're going to let them run now on the meat side, probably for another 15 or 20 minutes. And we're just going to keep turning them over, building that colour up until we're happy with them, before we then go to wrap them up. So, we'll be back in about 15 minutes to flip them again. Oh, there you go. We're just going to flip these back over now. You can see really starting to colour up nice. The bark's setting. These are definitely going to be, this will be the last flip I'll do now. So they'll go back on another 15 minutes, and then we'll start looking at wrapping them. Okay, so now our ribs have just, they've had that little bit of extra time. You can see the bark set quite nicely. You can also see the bones have started to reduce as well. So we're now going to look at wrapping these up. Basically gives us a chance to add a bit of a different flavour. So we're going to look at how we can sweeten these up. We like a bit of sweet and spicy in our ribs. So we're laying a little bed of sugar down to begin with. I'm then going to lay a couple of little bits of butter there just to add a bit of richness. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add the ribs straight on top, just like that, meat side down. So we can then basically add a little bit more sugar onto the back of the ribs, and then we're going to start folding up the tin foil, having that all closed nicely and secure, basically so our ribs can braise nicely in the juices. So now that we've got our ribs wrapped, the one thing we want to do, we want to add a reasonable amount of apple juice into the foil mixture. The reason for this is basically to stop all the sugars from burning, because we are cooking at a higher temperature. We just need a bit more liquid in there to keep them, to stop things from catching. It's always worthwhile just trying to check for any sharp corners on the ribs, just anything that might pierce the tin foil. We want to try and keep as much of the steam into these to get them nice and tender. So there we go. Now that our ribs are wrapped in foil, we've got that butter, sugar and apple juice mix. What we're going to do now is just put these back on the cooker. Probably only going to take like another hour now, so we'll start checking them for tenderness around then. Okay, our ribs have now been wrapped for about an hour, so I'm going to check these for tenderness quickly. All I'm going to do is just open up the foil. Open up the foil, and then all I'm going to do is just kind of pick these up, and you can see these are starting to crack on that side. So those are done. So I'm just going to take those off the cooker. And then I'm just going to check the second rack that we've done as well, just to make sure that both of them are nice and tender and how we want them. So just going to put this one over again so I can pick it up. That's done. So we've got a nice bend on that rack of ribs. So we're going to take these off, and then we're going to look at how we're going to sauce these up and finish them up. So what I'm going to do now, I've got my ribs cooked. I just want to add a bit of sauce onto these. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of sauce over the top. And I'm just going to brush it in. I mean, I'm using a Blues Hog Original. I mean, it's a very common sauce in competition barbecue. It does go really well with ribs. Gives it a really beautiful colour. Yeah, especially working with the rub that we've got, that we've used on these ribs. Just see that. I mean, what I want to do as well is just take a little bit of the juice that's left in the foil and glaze that, just to thin it down a bit. It's all that sugar and butter and apple juice that we use. So there we go. That's our rack of ribs, cooked up and sauced nicely. There's enough heat in these. I don't really need to put them back on the smoker, so I'm just going to wrap them tight so they can sit there, and that sauce will basically bake onto the ribs with the residual heat that's in them. I'm just going to do the same again on our second rack of ribs. And just move these around. And yeah, just a generous line of sauce down the middle, and then I can spread this over. Just dipping into the foil juices just to thin it out. So it's a nice coating on the ribs. And there we go, that's our second rack. Again, looking lovely, mahogany type colour. So we're going to wrap these up. We're just going to let them rest for maybe about 10 minutes just to take some of that initial heat out, let that sauce bake on, and then we'll start cutting into them and see how they come out. So now our ribs have had a chance to rest. I'm just going to take these out and we'll have a look at them and we'll cut into them. So yeah, you can see here, yeah, we've got a lovely colour on these ribs. To cut them, I always like to flip them over so I can actually see the bones, see where I'm actually cutting in between them. So flip these over. Let's see, yeah, just push them all together. Yeah, you've got a lovely rack of ribs there. Well, I'm just going to take one out from the middle to give it a try. Yeah, just having a look at it, I can see, yeah, we've got lovely moisture going through the meat. We've got a decent smoke ring on here. Let's see what they're like tenderness wise. I mean, that's pretty perfect. They taste brilliant, if I say so myself. But yeah, we're just going to go and do the same again. We're going to cut up the second rack, and then we're pretty much done. So we'll have a bit of a catch up once we've eaten some ribs. So there you have it. That's how we cook pork ribs, hot and fast, cooking on a big popper drum. You know, giving it that turn and burn really helps us bring out the colour without burning, you know, darkening one side too much. You know, and as you can see, the final result was really tender, and everything came out, you know, looking great within only 2.5 hours. So, you know, compared to, you know, your traditional 3-2-1 method, you know, we've got these done in under half the time, and equally as juicy or tender as what you'd normally expect to see. So hopefully this has been useful. You know, if you like the video, you know, please give us a thumbs up, and you know, we'll see you soon on another video.